Okay, welcome everyone. So we're going to talk about Data Science Bootcamp tonight. So this meetup event is sponsored by WeCloudData. So I work for WeCloudData, so I'm going to give everyone a quick introduction to WeCloud. And we will be spending some time on talking about our Data Science Bootcamp. So quick intro, WeCloud, we are Data Science and AI Training Academy. So we offer different programs. We've been doing Data Science Diploma Program. In Canada, it's called a diploma program, but it's just like a regular data science boot camp. We have full-time immersive option, but we also have the part-time option for students who have a full-time job. So we also do BI, this data analytics program. We have a data engineering program. And earlier this year, we also launched a machine learning engineering, or we call that AI engineering program. We also have other programs such as DevOps, but that's more on the dev side. So WeCloudData's data science program has a few different options. So we focus more on the practicality side. So we introduced this concept called real client projects. So students can enroll in a 6 months part-time program. After graduation, they will get career support, but at the meantime, you can opt into a real client project program. So basically, we have project managers and real consulting projects, and students will get mentored to work on real projects. And at the meantime, they will accumulate work experience, the real project experience, so they can fill the experience gap on their resume, which works out really well for many of our students. So if you have graduated from a bootcamp and you just want the career support part and the real company projects, you can purchase that as a separate package. We have the 3 months intensive immersive bootcamp, plus the 6 months career support. So in this package, real client projects is included. But we also have 6 months part-time training, plus the 6-month career support. So basically, if you already are very skilled and in a rush to find a job, the first option is probably the best. You don't have relevant experience, even though you've got a bootcamp certificate, and you just want to work on real projects. At the meantime, get some one-to-one career mentorship. So all of the mentors are data scientists working in the industry. So that might be the fastest route if you already know data science really well. And if you have the time and you also want to find a job relatively sooner, then just join the immersive program. You finish study in 14 weeks. And then after that, you will be paired with a mentor to start the job search journey. At the meantime, you will be working on real company projects. So company project and the career support can happen at the same time after graduation. Or if you have a full-time job, then the 6 months part-time training is probably the best option. So you don't have to quit your job. You just need to, and career support is included, but the company projects is a separate package you need to purchase. But the portfolio projects, right, is available in all 3 programs. Okay. So we've had a lot of success in our program in the last few years. So compared to one of the master's program here, one of the top universities in Canada, their tuition is pretty high, right? 40 to 60K, because it's a formal master's degree. Their placement rate 6 months after graduation is 92%. I was quite good. And average base salary in Canadian dollar in the Canadian job market is around 75,000. Not including this is not a total compensation, so it's kind of hard to calculate all the bonuses and stuff. So we only do this based on base salary. WeCloudData's Data Science Bootcamp graduates. If you're in a full-time program, so you do the 6 plus 3 months, right? 3 months full-time bootcamp and 6 months career support plus the project. The tuition fee is 1/3 of the master's program tuition, and it's a lot faster. Placement rate 84% within 6 months after graduation during COVID, which is pretty amazing number. and a base salary is actually quite a bit higher than a master's program. And the reason why our students, even though before they join a boot camp, a lot of them are, fresh beginners. They have never coded before, but after graduation, I think total duration is like 9 months. Getting a job, even paid more than a master's program, is because of the real project they did. So on the resume, they look like a more experienced hire instead of someone who just graduated from a boot camp, and that makes all the difference. So we're quite proud of that. And we also have if we calculate the placement rate 3 plus 9 months, which is usually what the master's program, do, then it's 95%. So we will continue to support the student even after 6 months, right? So I always say with WeCloudData, with a regular boot camp, your journey pretty much ends at the end of the boot camp, which is 3 months or 6 months. But with WeCloudData, your journey actually begins after the 3 months of study, because then that's when you're going to get one-on-one career support as well as the real projects. I believe these are the two of the most important factors to help you get a job. And in terms of learning, our curriculum is really solid, but any boot camps can offer training, but not many of them can offer real one-to-one, mentorship and real projects. All right, so we've had a lot of success. We launched our data engineering boot camp last year in the US, and the students are doing extremely well as well. So our data science program will be available in the US Western time zone in December this year. So we're quite excited about that. But right now we're accepting students from the Eastern time zone. So yeah, if you happen to be in the Eastern time zone, definitely consider us. We are the best bootcamp in Canada. So if you go to Course Compare, which is one of the most popular course review website, we got 5 out of 5. And on SwitchUp, which is more like a US-based or global whatever bootcamp ranking website, we were ranked #1. I haven't seen the 2022 ranking yet, but yeah, we got the highest rating, which is really nice. All right, let's talk about data science jobs. So here's the agenda, by the way. I'll be talking about the job market, both US and Canada, and I'll introduce boot camps. And then I will talk about the curriculum of, WeCloudData's data bootcamp curriculum, with a focus on the project side. So I'll explain how our students are assigned to, some of the interesting projects and how that helps them get jobs. And then we'll wrap up. So the data science job market is growing rapidly. I think since you're here, you definitely know that. But unlike machine learning engineering or data engineering, which is relatively new, data science has been around for a much longer time period, I would say. This data scientist title was coined, I think, almost 10 years ago, I would say. And it's been trending ever since. In COVID, it's definitely, all the jobs are, of hiring freeze and stuff. But last year was a perfect year. But 2020 wasn't very good. And this year now we're starting to see like hiring freeze in the tech, space again, and in the banks, just because of the potential risks of the recession. But very soon, I think the job market will open up again, because that's always like this. It's just like the cycle. But there are a lot of data scientist jobs in the United States, in Canada as well. In general, I think the market is 10 times, of the Canadian size, but the population is 10 times as well. If you look at the data science job market in Canada, a junior data scientist, this number is based on Glassdoor. So it's around 87,000 base salary. I think it's pretty good. And for senior data scientists, it's around 100,000. But I would say this number is a little bit off, because it doesn't reflect the most current job market status. Glassdoor collect data, in the past few years. So the number, the overall average might be a little bit outdated, because even during the COVID, what I can tell is that data scientists base salary is actually increasing rapidly during COVID, especially in Canada, because there are a lot of US job openings in Canada now. So the base salary is actually higher. And sometimes it's a little bit hard for some of the local companies to match the US rate. So lost a lot of talents. That's what's happening right now because of all the remote jobs. But I heard people are also going back to office now more often. In United States, so we have the senior data scientist, job statistics, and it's around 130,000 US dollar. Quite amazing. Data engineering is also very hot right now. We also have a data engineering program, and it's even higher than senior data scientist. Looks like both of them could actually be higher than the senior software engineer. But it doesn't mean these are the total compensation you're going to get, because if you work as a software engineer in a big tech company or some startups, your total compensation could be quite a bit higher. And they have signing bonuses, but it's really hard to tell. Like, this number is from Glassdoor. Yeah, but overall, I think it's still a really good time to join this field, because I think working as a data, I would say it could just 5-6 years ago, data science wasn't even well defined, right? There's a lot of confusion, and even today, I would say a lot of companies will data scientist means different things to different companies. In some companies, data scientists just work as a data analyst, but in some companies, data scientists actually work more like a machine learning engineer. But now the job market is more, is well defined, or better defined, and so you'll be seeing different kinds of roles even in a data science organization, right? But overall job satisfaction, I would say, is really good. Demand is great. But don't just look at the recent numbers, right? Because it's the overall market is not doing very well. But since COVID, so many companies, are trying to do digital transformation. More data will be generated. There's more need for data analytics for sure, right? But in the past, data scientist is the best job. But now you have more options. You have business intelligence, you have data engineering, AI engineers. But I would say data scientist is still one of the biggest segments in the data field. Compensation is definitely competitive, as I showed you. And this field involves a lot of learning, right? So you have to always keep learning. There'll be new packages, new algorithms, and new trends, especially in AI and deep learning. And data science is somehow involved with this as well. And this is definitely intellectually challenging job. And I don't think you'll be stuck in a job for doing the same thing for 10 years, for example, because you don't really have to move vertically as a data scientist. You can switch different careers to different industries by applying the same skills, right, and same tools. The business problems will be different, but you can start as a data scientist working for a bank, but you can later on join let's say the oil and gas industry to work as a data scientist. So you'll be working with different kind of problems, and you accumulate your industry experience. So that is actually very interesting to many people. If you're interested in consulting, there will be a lot of opportunity, even independent consulting opportunities. From a career path perspective, I think data scientists, just like engineering jobs, it's quite flexible because you can move up the ladder. So you become a manager, director, tech lead, but it can sort of just switch to machine learning engineer as well. I've seen data scientists switch into data engineer as well. And for some reason, a lot of data scientists end up becoming product managers and project managers. So I do think there are a lot of options, for you to explore later on. And for some of these jobs, the salary ceiling is pretty high, which is nice. And as I said, data is growing every single day. So there are more applications. So there will be the second, third, and fourth wave of these, maybe in different forms, but data analytics is always going to be in demand. But in the future, maybe your job title is not data scientist, but you're definitely going to be doing a lot of data analytics work. Automation is happening. But that also allows data scientists to focus more on the actual business application side. Yeah, it's very hard to completely automate data science workflow because different banks, they have very similar problems, similar team structure, data structure, but still the business process, as long as it's different, the data is different, then there will always, data scientists are always needed. I think it's very hard to completely automate everything, but automation is coming, but it's coming to many different industries as well. So I think as a data scientist, you need to keep learning. And in the future, become, for example, a machine learning engineer. That part is even harder to automate. But some people may actually just switch to the product side, the project management side, or if you're gonna go down the technical path, you become a tech lead. But anyways, I think there are a lot of things you need to do and keep learning. I guess this applies to many other fields as well. Data jobs in Canada, here's the distribution. Majority of the data science and data engineering jobs are based in, are in Ontario, close to the Toronto area. Vancouver has a lot of jobs as well, followed by Montreal, Ottawa, and Calgary. Right, so that's the job market. Do you guys have any questions? Thank you, Ricardo. So let's move on. Let's talk about Data Science Bootcamp. Bootcamps are really good at training operational data scientists. So what I mean by this is there are different types of data scientists, right? There are, ML researchers who focus more on the algorithm side. The work they do will become the IP of a company, or there are ML engineers who focus on the DevOps and also, data engineering side. There's the product managers. But if you're a career switcher and you would like to get started with data science, I think, especially when you don't have a master or PhD of data science or mathematics or computer science, most people will start from, an operational level data scientist job. So these are the data scientists that are, work on very practical data challenges, right? So they need to be familiar with, some of the data processing packages such as Pandas or PySpark. So they will be pre-processing data, analyze data, visualize data, and also the work with, they build machine learning models, and the work they do will generate a lot of business insights, and it can be used by the machine learning engineers or the business teams later. But I would say if you consider career switch and you're thinking about joining a bootcamp, bootcamp is not so great at training machine learning researcher, for example, right? Or product managers. Well, unless you come from product management background and you would like to learn more about data science, right? But most of the boot camps are not really tailored towards, just producing, let's say, researchers or, AI engineers. I'm talking about the data science program because now we have a AI engineer program. We can talk about that, on a different day. And in general, universities is really great at training ML researchers. So when you're considering doing a master's program, you can probably think about this because, maybe sometimes bootcamp is a better fit. But if you have this long-term, goal to go back to school and get advanced degree, I would still encourage people to do that. But what happens with WeCloudData is that we have a lot of alumni who will choose to join a bootcamp and get into the data industry first. So they start working as a data analyst or data scientist. And at the meantime, they will actually go back to school and to get another master's degree in computer science. And so later on, if they would like to work for the big tech company like Facebook or Twitter, they will have a better chance. But we also have students who got hired directly into the big tech companies, but you don't see that happening every day because most of the bootcamp alumni are people who they're career switchers. So it means they don't really necessarily come from computer science background. So they join a bootcamp because it's more handholding, there's more support. So it accelerates your learning process so you can find a job faster. But you can't become a rock star data scientist just in 3 months because there are so much you need to learn, right? So sometimes it could be very overwhelming, but boot camps are usually here, because they're good for career switchers because there will be a lot of support and hand-holding. Yeah, who should be considering a boot camp? I would say new grads. right? You have the academic background, but you don't have much work experience. You can have really great GPA, but the market is very competitive. So if you don't have any experience, it will be tough, and you're competing against, many other new grads as well. And boot camps are great for career switchers in general. So you've had some work experience, but it's not directly related to data. It'll be very hard, for career switchers. So that's why I need to work on portfolio projects and do a lot of courses, getting certified. But I think the best way is to work on real projects so you can accumulate real experience on your resume. We've seen a lot of analytics professionals who want to become data scientists. These are the group of professionals who are very good with SQL and data analytics in general. Maybe they have learned SAS as well. But in the data science world, people prefer to work with open source, Python, Spark, and Cloud, right? And PyTorch, TensorFlow, those kind of things. So they need to upskill themselves. So if you would like to fast track things, bootcamp can be a good option for analytics professionals who want to move faster. But if it's a full-time immersive bootcamp, you still need to, calculate the risk and to see if this makes sense for you to quit a job. But we do have a lot of students who quit their job because they just want to do the career switch a lot faster. This is WeCloudData. I think I sort of explained WeCloudData already. We have different programs, data engineering, DevOps, cloud, AI, data science, and we have different delivery mode, 3 months full-time, 6 months part-time. Right now, 20% of our students are from the US already. And this is the typical learning journey. We have pre-boot camps, so students will be doing some screening and finish the quizzes. But once they get accepted into the program, the students will be getting some exercises to practice because some of the students are actually a complete beginner, so they have to pick up coding. It would be great if you can do some self-learning under our guidance. So we don't want the student to waste time, because the reason why people choose bootcamp is because they want a very structured learning path, and they can just focus on learning the things that matters. So it can maximize the efficient learning effectiveness. So yeah, do the pre-boot camp, get prepared, and then boot camp will start. Then we follow a typical, schedule. So you'll be doing lectures in the morning. There'll be labs and exercises in the afternoon. We have office hours in the evening if you want to hop on Zoom or just stay on Slack to ask questions. And over the weekend, we also have TA support as well. During the 3 months time period, student will be doing like portfolio projects, lots of presentations, because business presentation is very important. And after the boot camp, that's what we call post boot camp. Students will be working on client projects while they receive one-on-one support by the mentors. And also we have job referral opportunities. All right, so I guess I'll skip some of these because I have details later. Now, let's try to understand what is a boot camp. A typical boot camp runs for 12, or I've seen 9-week data science programs, but I think it's really too short to be effective. But our program is 14 weeks, and then some boot camps will have demo day. I think it's kind of hard during COVID, but I think a lot of boot camps will be doing demo days now, or demo week, where they invite employers, to join the demo day, so students can do presentations and stuff like that. And we have referral services. We don't do demo day because right after graduation, students will be busy with real client projects, and then. So our students will have a clear advantage by the time they complete the real client projects. But we do a lot of referrals and career support. There's a distinction between a career support, a regular career support, and one-to-one mentorship. Right? Career support typically means that the bootcamp will have career advisors who can help you with resume. But I think the biggest struggle students will have during job search is, well, you need to have a decent resume, right? Have the relevant keywords on it so you start to get interviews. But during interview, data science interviews are very challenging, and sometimes it could be annoying because companies want you to do this and do that. They give you SQL, Python quizzes, and sometimes you have to do a little bit leak code. You do the hiring manager interview, and then they give you a take-home assignment, right? So those take-home assignments going to take you 2 to 3 days, or sometimes even a week. And imagine you're going to do that, like do 3 interviews in a week. So it's actually going to be very tough. So our mentors are actually hiring managers, or a lot of them are data scientists and senior data scientists. So they'll give you the support you need. They cannot do the test for you, but they'll be giving you guidance, right, along the way. And for example, soft skills. If you came from a banking industry, but you got a data science interview in the oil and gas industry, what kind of questions are you going to expect, right? Or after the interview, you're hoping to get some feedback. So you're probably going to, replay the whole scenario with your mentor, so they can tell you what you can improve. We also have tools for students to do the mock interview practice. So your mentors will be either, seeing the videos, recordings, or, getting the voice recording, so they can actually asynchronously giving you feedback on our platform. There are many different learning options. I think when you make a decision, right, usually there are a few factors. Some people care about the degree credentials, or how much prerequisite there is. Are you going to do a lot of research? Research matters to some people. The duration of the program, and how likely you're going to land a job, for example, in a big tech. What is the tuition, and how urgent it is, right? So I think a master's program is really good, right? It's going to give you an advanced degree. It matters for many people and for the employers as well. The prerequisite will be high, because they're doing a lot of advanced, like filtering. You're going to do more research for sure. There will be more theory for sure, right? The duration is usually longer, but I would say go with a master's program if you have a 2-year plan. You don't have a sense of urgency, right? And of course, the tuition will be the most expensive in this case. Online courses, I don't think the certificate matters that much, because there are a ton of people out there who have, Udemy, Data Camp certifications. It doesn't mean much to the employers, because they only care if you can get the job done. Certification doesn't really mean you can do projects well, right? But there's no prerequisite. Anyone can start anytime, and the cost is really low. I think that's what makes online courses very attractive. But we encourage a lot of students to do the online courses first, and then come to us and to follow a more structured learning path, so that they can, squeeze every, little benefit out of the boot camp and all the support and the projects, to achieve the goal faster. But doing some free online courses before joining a bootcamp is definitely going to help you a lot. So that's why we also have the pre-bootcamp. And honestly, compared to a master's program, the likelihood of getting into a big tech company will be relatively lower, because you invest 3 months in a bootcamp compared to a 2-year program, right? But if you want to get a job faster, you also need to realize that I would say 90% of the data science jobs are not within big tech companies, right? So the traditional industries, the startups, right, the tech and digital marketing, there are so many companies that hire data scientists, not just Google and Facebook. So from that perspective, I think you will get jobs a lot faster if you follow a bootcamp approach. Continued education, but these are usually money-making departments, right, in a big university. So there's some sort of trade-off. You're still going to get a diploma, which is great. The prerequisite is definitely not as high as the master's degree. You basically just need to pay. And there's not a lot of research going on. Duration is okay. But a lot of people still value diploma very much. So I would say this is still very valuable, and tuition is, is okay. It's not as crazy as the master's program. Boot camps. With boot camps, I don't think the credential is what boot camps are looking for, because they're coming to the boot camp because they just want to upskill themselves really quickly and get a job. They have very specific goals in mind, right? So you're not going to get like a master's degree. Some boot camps like WeCloudData offer diploma. It's a formal diploma, but it's a different kind of diploma, right? We're still accredited college, but you have to complete, all the assignment and quizzes. We still follow the formal procedure. But I think from an employer's perspective, it's not as valuable as a master's degree for sure. But even though like locally in Canada, especially in Ontario, we have really great brand names. So employers all know us. So they know our students are better than the university graduates because of the practical exercises and projects they've have worked on. Yeah. And but again, I think the biggest advantage, right, of a boot camp, boot camps is not cheap. But if you want to get a job fast, right, most people joining a full-time boot camp has a sense of urgency, but they also sort of need some sort of certainty, right? They know they're going to spend a lot of effort on in a boot camp, but they're willing to do this if the risk is low. So that's why job placement rate is important, career support is important. I don't want to devalue the bootcamp training itself because we claim to have the best, but still, I think, job search, there are a few factors, right? The skills, and you have to put in a lot of effort to gain those skills, do a lot of practice, but then the experience part is the hardest to gain, and also the career support, because I've worked with a lot of students who are very skilled, they built awesome portfolio, but when it comes to interview, they're just so bad at it. And career mentors are definitely going to be able to help you. But these are the mentors who are data scientists. So the suggestion feedback they give you will be very relevant compared to just a regular career advisor or counselor. So that's the bootcamp. Just to summarize this for everyone, boot camps, MOOCs, college, they all offer training. And most of the boot camps, traditional boot camps, offer portfolio building, which means they support you to do that, right? But I think in the college, universities don't really care about portfolio projects. It's up to you. But in the boot camp, you have to work on a portfolio project, and there will be career advisors. But with WeCloudData, we not only have the best training, portfolio projects, we have industry mentors, and we also have real client projects. And that's why a lot of students will choose WeCloudData. And of course, you also need to think about the investment, return on investment, right? So we did a survey during COVID. We asked, and I think more than 100, event participants, how many data science interviews have you received? I think in 2021, there are about 76%. Okay, I think numbers somehow screwed up here. Wait, yeah, so this is 20%, so it should be like this. My bad. Yeah, made a mistake here. But very few people got more than 5 interviews. Only 4%. That was kind of shocking, because that's certainly not the number with WeCloudData, because our students get a ton of interviews even during COVID. But what's important is, the challenges people had, right? Landing a data science job. 46% of them said they don't have the right skills. These are probably people just getting started. And 73% of people say they don't have real experience. 40% said they don't have a portfolio, and 15% said they couldn't pass interviews. So for the last 15%, I think a mentor will help you a lot. And if you don't have a portfolio or real experience, we have the real client project to support the students. And you certainly don't get these from the universities. All right, let's talk about the program itself. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me and ask questions. We follow, this Venn diagram, right? So we've been doing data science training for many years. We've trained a lot of large organizations. We've trained a lot of data science teams, actually. So we kind of know what's important in the job market, and the curriculum will be improved every year. We'll keep making changes. We believe that in order to become a data scientist, you need to know coding, understand different platforms and tools, and know machine learning, advanced analytics, but also need to know storytelling, right? Business presentations, visualization, and things like that. From a coding perspective, just have some familiarity with Linux programming or Bash programming, right? From a programming perspective, Python is something we focus on. we don't teach Python and R at the same time like some other boot camps because it's only 14 weeks. Some boot camps are trying to teach two languages. I just don't think it makes sense. And Python is more dominant in the job market right now. So we definitely choose Python over R, even though R is a beautiful language for sure. On the database side, SQL query, right? Working with different types of databases are, important skill as well. And you need to know version control, things like GitHub. Platform. So this is not a program training platform engineers and data engineers. It's a data science program. But I do believe that students need to know at least one of the cloud platforms, right? You don't need to become a solution architect, but you need to know how to work with some of the basic services like EC2, S3, launching a Hadoop and Spark cluster, working with Athena queries and things like that. And we cover big data, Hadoop and Spark with a focus on Spark and data lake. And we also teach students the basics of Docker containerization. But the big data is usually the last few weeks of the bootcamp. We spend about half of the bootcamp to focus on more advanced analytics, right? Machine learning, so statistics and math, data exploration, ML pipelines, feature engineering, a little bit deep learning, and natural language processing as well. This is not an AI bootcamp, right? So the focus is not so much on deep learning, if that's what you're looking for. But we also believe that it's kind of hard to, cover deep learning in a like 3 months, data science bootcamp, and you cover deep learning for only like a few days, 2-3 days, and expect people to get an AI engineer job. That's almost impossible. But we do introduce, some of these packages so students have enough experience. But the focus is still on the traditional and classical machine learning, which is what most of the companies will need. And when companies want to really do AI and deep learning, they're going to hire people who come from, masters in, computer science, PhD background. So it's a little bit harder to get into AI. But we do have a machine learning engineering program. If you would like to become, work on MLOps and model deployment in production, that's more engineering focused program. Storytelling is really important. It's not just about storytelling in business and in data science. It's about storytelling about yourself, right? So when you go to an interview, you're basically selling your skills and your potential to the employer. Some people may not like this word, selling, but you do need to keep selling, right? You need to prove to other people that by hiring you, there will be lower risk and you're a better candidate, right? You're the right fit. So you need to have the confidence to do presentation. So business presentation is very important. So we do teach students how to do presentation properly and how to do visualization. So students work on 4 to 5 different projects during the bootcamp. Those are portfolio projects. So those are smaller scope projects that doesn't involve a real client. But every project students do, they want to do either individual presentation or group presentation. So you can work in groups on some of those projects. And understanding use cases is very important. That's the business background, right? So we do cover applications in risk, retail, telecom, and also teach a little bit project management just to get students prepared for the real client projects later. So that's the hard skills and soft skills we teach. This is what a program would look like. Yeah, in about 14 weeks, we cover, we start from SQL, right? So week 1 is SQL, a little bit Linux. And any week 1, you have the SQL quiz. And then we move on to Python programming. We spend about a week on Python and SQL. And then we move on to data science with Python. In data science with Python, we cover things like NumPy and pandas. So students will, even though you will feel like we only spent 1 week on Python, but actually you're going to continue to practice Python, right, in the next few weeks, because when you learn pandas, the first project you will be doing is a web scraping project, then you have to come back and work more with Python programming, and also learn how to work with packages like pandas, right? And beautiful soup. And then week 4, we start to cover math, statistics, and start to cover the basics of machine learning. And then we have another 4 weeks of machine learning with the midterm. Midterm will be a machine learning portfolio project. And then we also have an assessment week in week 9. So that's like a checkpoint. So we want to assess the student to know how ready they are for the real company projects. And in that week, we cover project management. We introduce to some of the project students will be working on, and that projects change cohort by cohort, because all of these are real projects, and we'll finish the project and move on to other projects. And students will need to work in groups in that week to team up, do research, and complete some projects as well. And it also gives students a chance to review some of the SQL and Python stuff, because that's part of the assessment. And then we move on to deep learning in week 10, and then 2 to 3 weeks on portfolio and the big data AWS, and week 14 will be career preparation. So the career preparation is is group sessions, right? So we do mock interviews, we do group presentations, we have one-on-one interviews, so practice as well. But that's something we do with the entire class, right? But after this, the student will basically graduate, and when you graduate, you basically have the opportunity to work on real projects, and I'll show you what happens after the bootcamp. So after graduation, so this is a program. So first 3 months, you complete a boot camp, and students get about 6 months to work on real company projects, and then you receive 6 months of career support. So this is what the timeline look like. After week 14, students will be connected with, paired with industry mentor. They will also be assigned to they're probably assigned to projects during week 12 and 13 already. So even before graduation, some students will start to work on projects. So what do I mean by projects? So first of all, portfolio projects are projects that you do on your own, right? You want to showcase and showcase your data science skills, because for a lot of the career switchers, they don't have data science work experience. So you're new to this field, but data science diploma or a boot camp certificate is certainly not enough. The market is very crowded, and so many people graduating from a master's program. So ultimately, you have to prove. Everyone needs to prove to the employer that you can get the work done. And before they actually give you a trial, you really have to prove to people that you have worked on projects in the past, and this will boost the employer's confidence, right? So, but what should we include in the portfolio? Data science projects you've done, the blog posts, and the code committed to GitHub that comes along with the project, right? And some of the presentation videos you recorded during class might be helpful as well, okay? So personal project is very important, but I also would like to highlight the importance of the real client projects. That's also one of the differentiators of WeCloudData's program. This is what the students do in our program as a portfolio project, right? This is a pretty end-to-end project already. So students will be working with different technology stacks, doing data ingestion, and ingest. So basically, we need to collect your own data, ingest that into data lake. Instead of Hadoop, now we focus more on Amazon S3, so students get to showcase their experience with Amazon Web Services as well. And then they will be using Spark to train a data and machine learning pipeline. And some students will choose to turn this into a real-time prediction problem as well. And you'll need to do the dashboarding as well. So that includes BI and data science and machine learning. And this is a real-time fraud detection project. It's just a reference architecture we use for teaching, but the detailed implementation can vary. All right, some sample portfolio, sometimes students will write project summary. I highly recommend project summary because that gives more context. And employers always want to know like why you pick some projects, and having an architecture, diagram of what you did. This is not a data engineering program. It's actually a data science program. So this is from some of the students. But the students just went above and beyond. They learn things even beyond what we teach them. Um, and that's why they can get jobs so quickly. So some of these students will self-learn, cloud. We cover cloud, but there are so many things, additional things you need to learn. Sometimes we give students guidance as well, at least tell them if the architecture makes sense or not. And then they will explain, in a project summary, why they want to work on the project. So during the interview, most likely the hiring managers will be challenging you, right? They'll ask you, why do you pick this data set or this problem, and why do you choose these kind of tools, right? What if my company doesn't use AWS, then how would you do it? So you actually have to work on these projects, and then the employers will, ask relevant questions. Otherwise, most likely you're going to, get asked the questions that employers has prepared, which is probably less impressive. Let's talk about real project experience. I would say this is one of the biggest differentiators of WeCloudData's Data Science Bootcamp. Imagine we have candidate A, right, that has decent education background, has acquired data science technical skills and worked on personal projects, but we think it's not enough, right? So, oh, sorry, a typo here, but data engineering or data science graduates. So both data engineering and data scientist students get a chance to work on real projects. These are the personal projects, and you can check out these links, right? For the company projects or real client projects, I think this is the real differentiator. So our students not only need to work on personal projects, but after you worked on so many personal projects, there's still one big challenge, right, on your resume, because in under your work experience, most people have irrelevant experience background, right? Maybe you work as um, investment analyst, or you work as a real estate agent in the past, or you come from a mechanical engineering background, you worked in oil and gas industry. So whatever you do, like, however you structure your resume, it's still kind of hard to convince people that you are the right fit for the job. And most of the time, when employers see that kind of resume, they will just move on. And that's why you need to fill in the personal projects. But personal projects is something that everyone will do. Like without a personal project, you can't even get a interview, right? But still, like from employers' perspective, you're very new to this. They know you basically just did some personal project. That basically means that you don't have experience. So with the real client project, and you can put our consulting company's name on your resume, and sometimes you can even put the client name on the resume. That makes all the difference. And that means you have worked in a real environment. You've collaborated with clients, so you sort of know how to communicate in data science, right? Language. You know how to intake requests. You know how to translate that into, the technical action or whatever technical plans. Those are actually the experience part that matters a lot, because that will lower the risk from the hiring manager's perspective. So this is what a WeCloudData graduate's resume would look like. So the student will have portfolio projects, but usually we'll ask them to put that at the bottom. There will be a skills section, right? So they break down their skills into programming, advanced analytics, machine learning, visualization, and big data. But on the top, it's definitely going to be the real data science projects you have worked on. And these students will be the consultant working at our consulting company. Yeah, so the real experience is going to make you look more experienced. And that also gives you maybe more bargaining power during salary negotiation. And we can help students with the reference check as well, because all of these are real projects the students are involved in, even though they're mentees. So real projects also, bring different kind of values to the students, right? It's not just the technical side. Recently, we completed a data warehousing project. So this is the phase one, which is more data engineering focused. Phase two is actually going to be all about data science and machine learning and recommend their system for the client. In phase one, students did data modeling, data ingestion, building a lake, and building data warehouse. So these are data engineer students working with our real data engineer consultants and the project managers, right? The two project managers. This is a really big project. But the students, sort of did all the technical stuff, right, and learned a lot of new skills. But that's not what you gain. You only gain in a real project, because when you work on a real project, you're involved in the business and communication side, right? So you need to understand the business requirements and do some sort of business needs assessment, do data profiling, right? Educate the client what we're about to do, because communication is very important. You need to build trust so they know, they sort of are willing to support you on these projects, right? And you need to do the UAT. Even the data engineer students even need to build Power BI dashboards. So they not only gain some experience with visualization, but it's important, as part of the UAT, because the client will actually need to see a tangible outcome, instead of just saying that, hey, the warehouse has been created, here are the 200 tables. And it's very hard to prove to the client the real value of the project you delivered, right? So students have learned a lot, not just writing Python and Spark code or Airflow automation. And also they will learn, data governance, right, compliance. So a lot of these things that you wouldn't, because it's very hard to teach this in a course, in a boot camp, and you actually have to experience it. And we have this kind of awesome opportunities for our students. We've worked with a lot of clients. Some of the clients are pretty big, and worked in on projects in many different industries. And this is really small list of them. Digital analytics, worked with media and publishing companies, retail chains, supply chain. Some of the AI projects, model tunings for autonomous trucking company. We are involved in healthcare and even fintech companies. And there's some Web3 projects we've done. So that's quite exciting. All right. So lastly, before I wrap up, my presentation, I just want to tell everyone how we support the student, because I think the career support is, most of the boot camps will say they have career support, but it's vaguely defined, right? What do you mean by career support? I know a lot of students didn't even go for the career support after graduation. So with WeCloudData, after graduation, right, the student will get mentored by the mentor on portfolio project, but of course, the students will need to complete some portfolio projects during the boot camp as well. And then the mentors will be assigned after the group interview workshop, right? Because in week 14, the students will be doing interview, resume work, sessions. But right after that, we will assign mentors. The students will start working with the mentors. Mentors will be helping you set goals, like, how often do you want to meet on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis? Most students will be going a weekly update because they will start to actively search for jobs. So they will need feedback, right? And then mentor will be checking in regularly. And sometimes when you get interviews, you can request more one-on-one talk, right? Or one-on-one support from the mentor. Especially when you start to get interviews and technical challenges, the mentors will be able to support you. And until students get a job. So that's and we help with the salary negotiation, not directly, but we'll give you suggestions as well. That's how we support the student. And of course, along the way, we have job referral opportunities as well. This is a typical pipeline. This is a student who got one offer, but we have many students who got multiple offers. So I think a bulk of the jobs are definitely direct application by the students. And some students will be working with recruiters, especially recruiters will be very much interested in our students after they have worked on real company projects. That's when recruiters will get interested because they know you have the experience, right? That lowers their risks. And we have WeCloudData referral opportunities. And the student will go through, interviews, but of course, most of those applications, you don't get an interview, but for those you do, right, the students will, some of them, they move on to the hiring manager interview, and then among the 5 interview you got, maybe you get 1 offer. So that's a very typical pipeline. But as I said, we do have students who have a lot of interviews and a lot of offers, or sometimes if it's referral, then the student just go to 1 interview and get hired. So everyone's situation is different. Yeah, so, and I think I've shown this number already. This is the overall learning journey, right? Student will join the pre-boot camp, start learning, work on projects, get career support, and get a job offer. All right, so I think that's all I want to cover today. So I'll leave a little bit time for everyone to ask me questions if you have any about boot camps and career switch in general, or a more specific questions about WeCloudData's Data Science Bootcamp. Feel free to ask. And I have my contact information at the end. Any questions? You can type your questions in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and let us know your question. No problem. Thank you, Mary.
Hi, hello, my name is Ricardo. Thanks for the presentation. I think the question I have is, like, I come from a civil engineering background, and I'm a little worried about, not having the skills to, advance in the boot camp. And right now I'm trying to learn by myself. I'm trying to enter in January. So I don't know if I should like learn Python before. What do you think?
Yeah. At WeCloudData, we're very committed to pre-bootcamp. My recommendation would be definitely self-learn Python and SQL. So if you're interested in joining the January cohort, make sure you leverage the pre-bootcamp, because you probably want to learn like have a regular check-in with the program manager. So the support actually starts like even before the bootcamp start. We can set up some sessions with the lead TA or the program manager, so they will make sure that you stay on the right track. We have materials that you can go through as well, and their quizzes, some sort of just help you assess, if you're ready for the boot camp. Yeah, so but self-learning definitely is going to help make your bootcamp journey a lot easier, because I think the most frustrations new students will get in the first few weeks is that they're overwhelmed by all the things they learn on a daily basis, because every day you're going to learn new things. So getting familiar with coding before the bootcamp start will help a lot. But honestly, when you're in the bootcamp, you're going to get pushed very hard. I'm talking about the full-time boot camp. So you have this learning environment. And the good thing about a boot camp is that when you get stuck, someone will be there to help you, but we don't just give you the answer, right? So for the standard exercises and labs, of course, we have solution sharing sessions. But for any of the projects you do, like if we give you the answer, you'll never be able to learn and become a data scientist. So we'll push the students really hard to just independently solve challenges. But we tell them, like, if you can't solve this, within 2 hours, like, or, some small technical challenges you cannot solve, like, just ask for help. Because you join the bootcamp because you want to learn faster, you want to save time. So the support there is going to save you tremendous amount of time and make sure you stay on the right track. Yeah, there are students coming into the bootcamp unprepared, so they got really frustrated at the beginning. But usually, based on our experience running like this 20 cohorts already, usually I would say after week 4, students will get pretty comfortable. Like even if you join unprepared, but you passed the admission test, so we know that you can complete the boot camp. So we have relatively high confidence that you will be able to complete the boot camp if you pass the admission test. Then most of the time, like within 4 weeks, the students will be able to get a lot more comfortable with programming, and then things will be a lot better after that. However, if the student found that they can't really do it, it usually you can just tell right away in the first week. So 10% of the students sometime, I would say 10% of the students will quit in the first week because for lots of reasons. That's before we introduce the pre-boot camp. Things are a lot better after we introduce the pre-boot camp support because students are more prepared. But in the past, I would say, the student just got overwhelmed. They didn't realize that the boot camp is so, so tough. And so you need to be all in. But on the other end, I think good news will be waiting for you. So yeah, and we're here to support and help along the way. Passing the admission test is basically qualification test. We want to make sure that the students have minimum skill, right, to join the boot camp, so we have higher confidence. So it works this way. The test is not a data science challenge. So we don't expect the students to know Python and SQL at all because it's not fair, right? We have scholarship tests as well. So if we have the Python test, then people who already know Python, of course, is going to have an advantage, which is not fair. We just want to know if the student will be able to learn something quickly or have very basic data sense, right? So it's actually an Excel test, and you have to do some simple, data manipulation in Excel and do some visualization. And then we have some background assessment questions and some very simple statistical questions. And yeah, and most of the students will be able to pass. But for the student who cannot pass the admission test, we give them another opportunity. So they will need to complete the pre-boot camp. We actually let them do the pre-boot camp, and they pass a small quiz just to show that they can actually learn and they can commit. Then we will still enroll them in the program because by that time, we just want to give people a fair opportunity to join the boot camp, and then we have the relative, we have high confidence that they can complete. And also through that process, some students will just realize that, okay, this is not something for me. I'm not interested in it because they may have heard about data science and they think it's, it's good paying job. It's just a wrong expectation. And it helps both sides, right? So yeah, but that's what the admission test is about. It's not very scary. I know some of the other boot camps, they have maybe more difficult challenges, but that's not how we evaluate the student, because we accept students who are just beginners, who has never done coding before. In some other boot camps, you may be filtered out, but with us, because, as I said, the most important thing with WeCloudData is the real company projects. So as long as you can, we just want to make sure the person has the dedication to complete the program. And then with the career support and the real company projects, you're always going to have a big advantage over other competitors in the job market. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was wondering, how do you apply for these boot camps, and is the payments, are they like, does it have to be in full, or could it be like broken down?
Yeah, that we do have payment plan. You can talk to our program advisor, Amir. We do have payment plans. And if you're based in Canada, there will be, line of credit from Bank of Montreal, which means you just pay like $50, $60 a month, I believe. Amir, is that correct? And then you pay the full, like whatever tuition fees, like 3 years after graduation or something like that, which is pretty good. And the interest rate is very low. Or if you recently got laid off by companies and you qualify for, or WeCloudData qualify for the second career, so the government will pay for the tuition, something like that. Yeah, so there are some options there. So make sure you talk to our learning advisors. Oh, Mary,
And
don't worry about
Yeah, how do I get in touch with him?
Kashish,
Applying for it, actually, yeah.
yeah, thank you very much, Shahal. Yeah, I would be more than happy to connect with you. So after this meeting, I will send you guys an email to share with you some details about the boot camps, and I will also share with you a link so you can always book an appointment with me. I would be more than happy to walk you through everything.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
No problem. And hey, yeah, Mary, yeah, absolutely. Don't worry about, don't be scared by the assessment. I heard that some boot camps, you know, because they don't have a lot of real projects and continued career support, they're hoping that the student who got admitted upfront has experience or are good with coding already. But I think WeCloudData assess student in a very different way, because we know even if at the beginning, right, you're new, you're relatively inexperienced, but end of the day, when you complete the real company projects, everyone looks strong and, you know, very confident on their resume. And keep in mind, when the employer hires someone, they're not always going after the most skilled candidates, because they know the best, most skilled candidates, they either cannot afford them or they cannot keep them for a long time unless it's Facebook and Google, right? So for most of the companies out there, they're finding the right fit, right? So someone who's not opinionated, right? Who can get the work done, who can fit in the team, who can communicate well, but who's also very technical, because the company will rely on you for data science. So I think there are a lot of factors, but the fact that you will be able to add real experience to your resume is going to save you. It's going to benefit you for the whole career. I would say at least the first 6 years, because some students will even tell us that, okay, I'm really not in a rush. I can't wait. I'm not confident. I just want to work on real project for even 1 year before I start looking for my job. And we actually provide support to the students to work on, spend even 1 year on projects. And you know what? After that 1 year, the student has 1 year of work experience on the resume, and right away he got hired as a senior. And then the next time you find your next job, you always have that 1 more year or 6 more months of experience. It's always going to stay, and it's going to help you not with the first job, the second job as well. So yeah. Any more questions? Okay, thanks everyone for joining this session. You know, and thanks for all the questions. So yeah, you have my email, shawa@weclouddata.com. And I think, you know, Amir has provided his contact information as well. You can either email info@weclouddata.com. I believe you'll be able to reach Amir as well, or you can always go to the website and contact us. Whether you're going to go with WeCloud or not, I wish everyone all the best with your data science journey. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys in future events, because we have some other interesting events in the future as well. Thanks, everyone.